Well, my name is Chloe Faith Wordsworth, and it was my honor to develop this wonderful system called holographic repatterning, also known as resonance repatterning. What is resonance repatterning about? Basically, whatever we resonate with or whatever we're in tune with, that's what we're going to experience in our life. So, for instance, if you dial your radio to a particular frequency, you're resonating with that waveband, that radio waveband, and you're going to get that program. And the same thing with us. We've all, as new physics is letting us know, we are a mass of energies, energy frequencies, high frequencies, low frequencies, these waveband frequencies. And when our frequencies resonate with something, we're going to experience that in our life. So resonance repatterning then is about how can we spiral up to a higher energy state. So what you see here is the coherence continuum, and a lot of us are living down here, spiraling down into this lower energy state of non-coherence. It may be in the form of headaches, of high blood pressure, of worry about an operation that you're going to be having, depression. It can be anything. Having quarrels with your partner or your spouse. Every problem carries an opportunity within it. So what's that opportunity? The opportunity is that we can find out what we're resonating with that keeps us in this lower energy state in our life and relationships and in our work. And if they take the point of choice and use the repatterning system, they can then spiral up to a higher energy state, use the opportunity of the problem, which is the block, the difficulty, the failure, to find out the pattern that underlies that problem. So the question then is, how do we do this? There are two main things, of course, in this work. Number one is the map, what we call the mandala, the 6 principles which allow us to find out exactly what somebody needs. And the second aspect of resonance repatterning is the muscle checking tool called applied kinesiology. Now, originally this was actually a medical procedure. Doctors would check out the strength and the relaxation of a muscle, or the active muscle response and then the relaxation muscle response, to find out if there was a nerve impulse going to a particular muscle. So you can hold your arm out in front of you, press on it, if it's either strong or it goes relaxed. And that would tell them about a nerve impulse going to that muscle. Or you could place the arm behind you, or you could check on a leg muscle, whatever it was, you could then press on that part of the body, and it allowed them to check on nerve impulses to the muscles. Many people then began to pick up on the fact that this binary on-off muscle response could be used to give you certain answers. But what answers, and what was it? So I've been using this muscle checking tool since the mid-70s, and I've thought about it very deeply, and everybody has their own theories about what it is. But what my theory on what this on-off muscle response is that allows you to access the unconscious mind is that it's really the autonomic nervous system. There are 400 billion bits of information that are being processed every second by the autonomic nervous system and the parts of the brain that we're completely unconscious of. The reptilian brain in the back of the head, limbic brain. We're mostly conscious of this big cerebral hemispheres in the front, but that's just the tiny 1/10 of who we are. 9/10, 90% of us is actually unconscious, autonomic nervous system stuff. The autonomic nervous system knows how to help us survive. We've survived as a species for millions of years because the system knows what supports that. And it's through the muscles. You know, it knows we know when to run, and we know when to fight, and we know how to survive. So it's all muscles, active, relaxed, active, relaxed. So when we use then this on-off of the muscles, we are accessing the autonomic nervous system, which can tell us, does this move me to a higher energy state of coherence? Does it move me down into a lower energy state of non-coherence? I've worked with psychiatrists, and they'll say, in 10 minutes, you've identified core life patterns that I've hardly touched on in 5 years of psychoanalysis. And they're blown away by it. So this work is very honoring because you are accessing the field to support the person's movement to a higher energy state. but you will only identify and access what that person is ready for at this moment in time. So it's their system. You're accessing their energy field, and their energy field knows what it needs at this moment in time. So you will never identify or access patterns they're not ready to transform. And the beauty of this work is you don't have to relive the early trauma. You may have to identify the threads that you're still resonating with, but once you move that resonant pattern on through that's held in the unconscious mind, people get some very dramatic results. And this is what people say, I realize I have the point of choice. It's not a left-brained, I will not go there anymore. It's simply, I don't need to go there anymore. It's something has changed inside them, and they can maintain their coherence. If they can't maintain it, then they have another session that supports them in maintaining that higher energy state, so they don't have to keep spiraling down. So it's all energy. The physical body is energy, and energy shifts faster than the speed of light. So we need to be able to identify the frequency that is dissonant and holding the negativity in place, whether it's in the physical body, the emotional state, or in the mental negative thoughts. And that as we can move that on through, people spiral up and they just feel transformed. I actually began this work in 1972 when I studied polarity therapy with Dr. Randolph Stone, a genius who worked with energy and brought an understanding to me of the ancient Ayurvedic Indian system of understanding the chakras. And that began me on a whole journey of studying many, many different healing systems, complementary healing systems, from the point of view of energy, the energy matrix, cranial sacral work, and sound work, color therapy. And then I went back to acupuncture school and received my diploma, my license in acupuncture, and kept on deepening my understanding of what it is that allows people to move into wholeness within themselves. And in 1989 I also studied brain integration work, the wonderful Educate work with Dr. Dennison, which brought in that aspect of, got me going on a whole understanding of the neurology, the neuronal net of the brain, and how our neurons are connected and fire each other off in particular ways that we get addicted to. And so in about 1989, 1990, I began pulling together my work from the point of view of frequency and resonance. And that began me on a 10-year journey of writing the books and teaching people. My full-time practice, of course, I was constantly working and reworking what I was doing, throwing out what didn't work, bringing in what did work, and realizing that what I was doing wasn't really anything that I'd studied. It was a whole new system that was integrating the wisdom and knowledge of the greatness of everything that I'd learned throughout my life, in actual fact. So originally my vision was to teach this to as many people as possible, so that mothers and fathers could use this with their children and with each other and with their parents, and any relationship or any personal situation where they just felt pain, anger, upset, that they could then use the opportunity of that, use it to spiral up to a higher energy state. And then what I realized as I began, writing the books and teaching it to people, is that of course you do need to receive it. And there are some people who are just fabulous practitioners, and they then become accredited. They take the whole program, they become trained. We really have a high standard for the practice of this work. We don't want to be non-coherent. The essence of who we are is coherence, it is love. And that's what we all yearn for. We yearn for love. We yearn to be of service. We yearn to be able to help each other. And this system helps that whole process happen.
I'm just astonished by it. Every day I'm astonished by it. The process is magnificent. It really does, it really works. Some people have tremendous wild breakthroughs, and other people have really subtle things that change, and over time they see that their behavior is changing. What happened with me personally is that I began to see that I would be in a situation that would normally send me into apoplexy with fear, and I'd be standing in that situation, I'd go, huh, this used to scare me to death. I'm not frightened at all. And that is the kind of subtle stuff that happens over time, which makes a big difference in people's lives. Big difference. I've done repatternings for weight issues. I've done repatternings on groups for prosperity issues. I've done repatternings on groups for team building and having everybody get on the same page with regard to goals and objectives in corporations and companies. And we can repattern people for physical difficulties, physical ailments, low back pain, diseased organs, problems with their voices. You have to try it, but everyone who tries to refer someone to me, they're always saying, I don't know what they do. I don't know what holographic repatterning does. And people say, I don't know what she does, but it works, you know, and it and it does.
This work has helped me understand a situation around the loss of my husband. He committed suicide about 7 years ago, and it's been something I have been dealing with, as well as my 2 children, for that time. My son has had a speech impediment since his father passed away. He's been working with speech therapists in and out of school, and after one session of working with Mary, the change in his speech pattern was so incredibly different that his friends at his new school don't even know that he has a speech problem. And he says that speech for him, you know, is not an issue. Mom, going to this new school is a whole new world.
I guess I'm not so mad anymore, because sometimes stress just makes me like go crazy and tear stuff down off my wall.
And you don't do that anymore?
No.
I felt sad about my dad, and he helped me not feel so sad anymore.
So you really, did you feel that right after one session with her?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you put a value on that? You know, the value for me is that I'm happier, my children are happier, I'm a better mom.
Families have energetic configurations too. So if one person in the family decides that they want to heal, most of the time, I don't know why, it's the mother. Most of the time the mother will come in and she will get a repatterning, and she'll go home and her frequency is higher. Basically, we've upped her frequency. She goes home and everybody in the energetic configuration of the family has to click in to that new frequency.
The holographic repatterning, I believe, actually shifts my energy. It shifts the way that I interact with other things. And by me operating out of this new positive energy, that means I'm modeling that for my children. So I immediately see the 3 of us move to a new place. I mean, it really was what inspired me to get them involved, to work with Mary directly.
How old are you, John?
4.
4. When's your birthday?
In 2 days.
And then you'll be how old?
5.
Well, my son has always been really hyper, and I've used homeopathic remedies or some herbal stuff, mostly homeopathic, I guess. And I've never found anything that works. It's just really, really hyper, does not want to go to sleep from day one, has never wanted to go to sleep. And well, I said, let's try Mary.
We've done some amazing things with ADD. What happens to these kids is that they have fundamental bonding stress. And if you can balance that child's fire element so that they can release that stress from bonding, more often than not, the ADD behavior just starts to dissipate. And I've seen it over and over again, and this is not with the use of any drugs.
He is a lot calmer than he used to be. And holographic repatterning, in my opinion, is just absolutely fabulous, because you find out the reason why he's hyper. You know, you need to find out what causes it.
It has done wonders for him. He needs more and more of energetic healing kinds of things.